Here at the Giver Marketing Network, we don't leave you drifting out in space. We connect you to a coach who will help you build and grow your marketing business. Our process acts as a guide on how to connect with other businesses, maintain good relations, and establish a presence on the Giver Marketing Network. Each member within this collaborative group will have the opportunity to leverage your talent and influence, a true network effect. If you are looking to collaborate on more projects, welcome to the Giver Marketing Network, the most trusted and highest rated collective of specialists on the planet. Here we have a group of like-minded professionals who focus on making valuable introductions and helping each other grow by teaming up. Imagine Upwork meets a network and a coach. The talent collectively includes services like visibility and SEO, creating logos, designing websites, managing social media, outreach messaging, visual storytelling, and much more. Think of what you could do with laser-focused allies, strengthening your business while offering your talents to the entire network. Click near this video for more information.
Hey, welcome everybody to the Giver Marketing Network broadcast. Adam G. Fleming is with us today. He's your author leadership coach that you want to have in your corner. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But Adam, before we jump in and talk about how to go from best kept secret to bestseller as you're writing your piece, as you're getting your book together, some people even parlay this into like movie production and things like this.
Yeah.
What's your story? Like, how did you get into this world? Like what brought you to do what you're doing now?
Well, great question. So one of the things that happened early on in my writing career was back in 2012, I heard about this platform called Kickstarter, and there are some other ones called Indiegogo and GoFundMe, and people have probably heard of those. I wanted to launch my first novel independently. And so I checked out Kickstarter, set my book up on there. And what that did was it kind of helped me get the money that was necessary to do printing by using the platform for pre-sales. And that was really, really helpful in my first time around back in 2012. So, wow. 13 years has gone by now, and have launched several other books on Kickstarter of my own. And then, our team is working diligently to launch a book that you and I have co-written. And so that's going to be really fun. And we have that as a kind of live example right now of how this process works. So
yeah, we'll mention that here in a minute. I'm excited to share a little bit about that. I'm curious, you've probably lost track, but how many pieces, or how many works, how many books have you been able to either author or co-author with somebody else? How has that gone for you?
I have 19 books with my name in the title, and then there are some other books that I've helped with as more either a ghostwriter or developmental editor, where so I don't know, half a dozen of those maybe.
Okay, so maybe a couple of dozen pieces that you've been extremely involved with in the last over a decade now. So you have those 10,000 hours of experience that we all talk about to be able to have an expert here there helping us. So I appreciate you sharing some of your knowledge today. I'm going to go ahead and bring up some of the visuals right now, and then you can walk us through from the perspective of Adam G. Fleming as kind of the lead voice here, but also Victory Vision as a team. Like maybe one of the things we should mention is when you're publishing something that you're serious about, you feel like you have a really strong message, something that's going to be valuable for others, you want to have a little team around it. And we're going to talk more about building community and all that kind of thing later. But ultimately, Victory Vision Publishing is a team ready to go to help you. But let's go ahead and jump in, Adam. What do we start with here?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm not seeing where to click to move the slides forward. So
That's okay. So this is our book launch blueprint.
yeah,
You shared a little bit about yourself,
right.
but tell us a little bit more about kind of your your experience as it relates to actually publishing the books themselves.
Oh, sure. I got you. So, yeah, there's a lot of different things that, you can go and watch a lot of YouTube videos on and figure out yourself. But, uh, you want to get the book beyond Amazon. I think that's one of the key things that I want to say there.
Mhm.
How do you get your books in Barnes and Noble? How do you get them in public libraries? There's lots of other things that our team has learned how to do to be able to put people in a position to avoid having them only on one platform, only available in one place. And, everything from specialty foil cover designs, things that you might see in a bookstore that you're like, Amazon doesn't do that. Well, there's lots of other ways to get a book out there. But yeah, what I've done in the past includes, helping people get their cover design. The interior layout is a big deal. And there's a lot of specs that are required to set them up for printing.
I love the visuals that I see
So
on your books. Like, I think
yeah,
there's something that if you were to see it on a screen or in a bookstore or really anywhere, you would go, wait a minute, what is this about? And so that book cover, uh, whether people like it or not, we do pay attention and judge a book by its cover.
you do.
And that's part of our human existence. Is we quickly scan something and see, is that interesting, is that valuable, is that scary, is that important? And so that's why we judge a book by its cover. It's not because we're flawed from a character standpoint. It's because we're in this like decision making mode all the time. Do we even want to pay attention to this? And so the cover the covers that you're showcasing here, and even the ones we'll showcase in a minute, are very important, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, don't just pay attention to what we're saying. Look at the visuals of what we're presenting today, and that's part of your kind of learning experience today. Okay, so those books that you've written, those series, you've actually put them out there. Like, people can go find them right now on Amazon. So
Sure.
this is a good thing.
Right.
All right, so let's talk about the visibility challenge for authors. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, Adam. Like,
Yeah.
people are like, I published a book 5 years ago and it never went anywhere and it never did anything. And it's like, okay, well, let's look at this holistically. Like, how does this actually work? And how do we make sure that there's a little bit more visibility? Can you walk us through a little bit more of how we should think about this?
Sure. So I think that you have to think about one of the things that's really, really important is the unique voices that you see there under navigating market saturation. The
Mhm.
idea that if you don't have a unique voice, it doesn't matter what you do, your book could be doomed. So it's really important to write a really good book. I've had examples of people reaching out to me on LinkedIn. Hey, you want to check out my free ebook? And then I open the thing up and you spent all this time and all this energy and probably a bunch of money getting that book in front of me. And then you have 8 typos in the first paragraph and I'm not feeling it, And so if you capture attention, you need to deserve that attention. And the book needs to be worthy of someone reading it. And so that comes in both at the beginning and then after you get the attention and people actually open it up, you're hurting yourself really badly if it's not worth it. But obviously, we work with, you got to have strategic partnerships. Giver Marketing Network is a network. We are all about networking. We're all about helping one another, and getting into strategic partnerships is what Giver Marketing is all about. So this is like core value central, right, Timothy?
Yeah, I mean, it's different. It's one thing to write a book so that you can process through something that you're trying to develop or grow or learn about yourself, and then share that with a couple of friends and family. That's one thing, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But for those who want to get more visible and have a message they feel can impact hundreds, thousands, maybe even tens of thousands or millions of people over time, who knows? Like, you
Right.
might have a message that really resonates with a particular, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but there is a difference between, hey, I'm writing this for me and I'm writing this for other people.
Right.
And so that's where we're kind of trying to help you go from, like, this could be an impact that you make, a kind of a, you talk about legacy impact a lot, Adam. Like, this could be a legacy impact.
Right.
If you really think it through, plan it out, build a community, and some other things we're going to talk about. All right. So engagement beyond launch day. What does that mean? Like, what does that mean to you?
To me, that means, continuing to put your book in front of people, whether it's at speaking engagements, whether it's, at, speaking engagements is the main thing that comes to my mind. But certainly having a website and continuing to direct traffic to the website, those are the kinds of things that, even reminding people about them in your weekly or monthly email campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, by the way, here's this book I wrote 6 years ago, still relevant or still entertaining. Check it out. And you want to continue to drive traffic to it, because the great thing about writing a book is it can be residual income for the rest of your life.
All right. So write this down, ladies and gentlemen. Mention it and create micro events around it. Mention it and create micro events around it. Those are some tips as we go along here in over time. All right. So the solution, a strategic book launch process. Let's talk about the check marks. Let's talk about the things like you need to have as you go into this next level of, like, okay, I want this to be a public book, not just a private book. Like, I want it to actually like, I want to publish it, like, in a real sense. Right. So what do we need to do?
Well, certainly the structured launch framework. So you don't want to just like throw it on Amazon and then just hit publish.
Mm-hmm.
You want to think about and even plan from the time the book is actually done. And when I say done, I mean, like, it's edited. It already has a cover design. Mm-hmm. It's really ready to go. And you literally could push a button and publish it. Wait, got to be patient. Got to hold on to that. And because you're starting phase 2, which is the launch. So you're building that structured launch framework and you're engaging the targeted audience. And you're making decisions based on data, not just like, I feel like doing it.
All right. So it's like you built this car in your garage, and you're trying to figure out how to take it out on it for a spin and make it fun and interesting. Maybe join some other events and these kind of things. Okay, I got you. Yeah. And we ought to make sure that the audience matches with the content or the value or the message that's in this piece, right? And I say piece because it could be a fiction, it could be a nonfiction, it could be a book, it could be we did a business novella, it could be even some of these same principles can be looked at. I'm involved with a movie studio. Some of the same principles can be looked at as, like, think of it like a mini movie or something that you're producing that can really make an impact. Okay, so data-driven decision making, number 3 there. We want to look at as much data. In today's world, we have a lot of data available for our audience, for different platforms that we're going to be involved with, for even internal, like, contact information that we have for people. All this data is our friend. We want to make sure and collect as much as we can from, we're going to talk a little bit later about some more details of this, but ultimately you want to be a data nerd when it comes to your checklist for your launch process. Okay. So and by the way, as you're watching live or those who are watching the recording, please feel free to make comments, take notes, ask questions. Let us know where you're tuning in from. This broadcast is extremely valuable to you and to others. And so the more you comment, the more others will be able to see that. So really appreciate that. And we'll address questions toward the end. So please put comments and questions in the chat section or the comment section even now. So really really want to encourage you to do that. Okay, so let's talk about this book on the right here that you wrote, and then also just defining that book's message and target audience. How do we match that up? What does this look like?
Yeah, well, this one was the one that's actually pictured on the screen is a really interesting case study because I knew that there were lots of really good books about how to coach. And I decided to write a book that had little vignettes and little stories about coaching experience rather than a step-by-step coaching guide. And I thought that might make an interesting, addition to the literature around coaching. So in that case, I was like, this is, and I mentioned this before, I think this is the book that I want to write. And certainly, the detailed audience analysis would have improved this. So this is 2015. This is 10 years ago, back when I was still making mistakes, right? Timothy, we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
But there was a core message clarity around it, which is that one of the best ways to learn about coaching is to experience these stories, learn about it in a story format. So
let's be clear here. Like, even if you're just starting, right, you're in the first few years of your professional career or your journey, or you're a homemaker or somebody who's really got a message to share with an audience. That first audience, that first data collection could be from your church. It could be from your a Facebook group that you're heavily involved with. It could be something very simple. We're just saying don't blindly go out and, like, you need to take in some feedback and some data that will help you. We do this normally, but we tend to lose our mind when it comes to creative stuff. So we just want to remind you, like, just think it through a little bit, like you would if you're putting something together that's really important. It's not just a creative process. There's an actual strategy to where this can go. So
just one thing really quickly about that. One of the simplest ways to do this is to take your book to a group of beta readers, 4 to 6 people who are willing to read it and give you feedback before you finalize your text. And that's really, really important, especially if you can say, hey, you're the type of person that I'm writing this book for. Would you read it and give me feedback and let me know if you get it, or if you don't get it, or if there's one chapter you don't get? And that's probably one of the simplest ways that a lot of authors use, and collect some data, but also some specifically targeted feedback to the whole thing. So
targeted feedback, that's a good tip. And you want emotional resonance, you want intellectual stimulation, you want interesting content and characters, you want all these different things. And if that feedback can help you take it from good to great, you might reach hundreds, if not thousands of more people over the course of time, because you got some good feedback from 5 or 6 people. I love that. I love that.
It's huge.
All right, so let's talk about launch day and launch team and launch. Okay.
Yeah.
So you had all this, like, blood, sweat, tears, and emotional awesomeness just poured into this resource, this book, this ebook, this audiobook, this resource that people can digest in so many different ways. It's, to some degree, it could be a legacy piece for your family and well beyond that, right? So, all right. So how do you amplify the book? Well, assemble a VIP launch team.
Yeah. You want people doing really practical stuff, like sharing the fact that this book is live on Amazon today, and they're really excited to get a copy of it on their social media or with their friends, their email lists. You want them really doing that and the timeliness of it is really critical, right, Timothy? You want them doing it on the day that the thing launches, whether it's a Kickstarter or however it is that you have chosen to launch it. You want as many people as you can talking about it on that day.
You want pre-launch, you want launch day, and you want post-launch. So write that down, ladies and gentlemen. Put it in the comments. It's like a sandwich of awesomeness. But that launch day is the day. Like that's your game time. Like that's game time. Like that's where when things really start, like the fire starts roaring, is right on that day. So very important. And you want to build community along the way and make sure that's a part of the strategy as well. So, okay. So just to recap real quick, we got targeted recruitment strategy. So you can build your VIP team. You want to clearly articulate the book's purpose and all that with your team, your starting team, your VIP team. You want to effectively communicate various aspects of what you're going to be doing with your team. You want to make sure that they know we're going on this together. Like we're rowing together. We can't do this without you, because it's true. Like you can't do anything significant alone. Like you have to do it with a little team, right? So, and you want to make sure and explain that you have incentives for participation, not only for your VIP team, but for those who are going to come along and maybe dip their toe in the water along the way and kind of, oh, wow, that's interesting. I'd like to learn more about their book, and I get a coaching session with it, or I get an extra. Oh, if I buy this book, I get the audio book, or if I buy this, I get something else that they have. And so you want to start building anticipation even within your launch team. So that's important to note there. Anything else to add to that?
I would just say, like, one cool thing that we're doing on the Jade launch is the idea of the idea of that the next book that we write, you can actually get your own name as one of the characters in the book through our launch. So it can get really creative, Timothy, to say, hey, for backing us with this reward, you're going to get immortalized in our next book. It's a cool feature that you can use on Kickstarter. That I mean, you could do it other ways, but it's really, really a good feature of using these launch platforms.
I like that note. Write these tips down, ladies and gentlemen, because if you're writing a book, or when you write a book, or when you write a resource of some kind, even an extensive guide that complements your work, like it doesn't have to be a traditional book. It can be something very, very valuable to some type of audience. Anything that's printed, audio, or visual of some kind, you can apply these same principles. So, all right. So you want to maximize your team contributions, of course, build lasting relationships. Look, we're building a little community around something very valuable. It's not, we got together for a week and we're done. Like this is an experience that people love to be a part of. A lot of folks who join these VIP and launch teams want to write a book or develop a resource themselves. Sometimes they want to do something themselves. So they're experiencing it first, and then they're going to go and do a different version of it. So invite people who would benefit from the experience just as much as the resource itself gets published and visible. Okay. All right. So what about the system itself? We talked a little bit about that launch team. Can you speak to this a little bit, Adam?
Yeah, I think probably one of the biggest things on here that I love to have a team helping out with is the technology infrastructure setup. And it's so easy for me to think that because I'm not it's the way I think, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think that way. So it's great to have somebody else come alongside and make sure there are no broken links, because that just torpedoes the whole process if the technology isn't set up. Obviously, communication strategy as well is how do I make this personable? How do I make this not just buy my book, but hey, I'm Adam Fleming, and you might enjoy getting to know me because I like to hike and I have 4 kids, and I'm a silly person, and then you have this communication strategy that allows people into your world and makes them feel like, hey, I would like to be that guy's friend. I would like to, check out his book. So those things are all really important to get set up well.
One of the best ways to start any kind of mentoring relationship is to go check out somebody's published works and see if they're aligned, see if they have the voice and the approach that you might have.
Sure.
I've found it very helpful to digest 2 or 3 books from somebody that I find interesting, and I'll watch a lot of their videos as well, just explaining their books and just how they get excited about the content. Kind of pulls me in, and some of those kind of things. So that technology piece, the communication piece, of course, and then that structured framework that just says, hey, here's our checklist. Let's make sure let's make sure and prioritize these and execute on them well. We need a team in order to do that. And the technology, once you've done it once, you can move pretty quickly on a second piece.
Right.
And so that's where having like Victory Vision Publishing or Adam in your corner can really help. Okay.
For sure.
All right. So as a kind of a recap, let's look at some technical specifics here. Okay. So number one, find a way to build an effective landing page design. Okay. So when you have a landing page that just lays it all out, like for example, if you go to givermarketing.com/Jade, that's our pre-launch landing page. You can look at that, and it'll be on the screen here in a second as well. But you can look at examples of landing pages. Even if you go to Adam G. Fleming's social media accounts, you can kind of see how, and go over to Victory Vision Publishing and go see how these different pages and book covers and all the visuals start coming together. Number two, strategic content engagement. So social media, of course, different kinds of video production. You might see some videos that are published on YouTube, these kind of things. This kind of content bolsters, and I don't know how many times I've found it. Somebody's book. I was looking up a book a couple days ago. I was like, I want to decide if I want to get that book by listening to the videos or the content of the author talking about the book. That's where I'm going to make that decision. So that's important. And then follow up.
Yeah, I want to say something about video production too. Obviously, we talked about how important it is to have a really great book cover. Video production is important too. However, I think being personable on video is more important than perfection in terms of, 5 camera angles and, tons of editing. So being personable is probably the most critical element to video production, and don't get intimidated by that when you have to put a video on a Kickstarter page. Just be yourself, be friendly, and that is the strategy. That is my strategy, is be friendly. That's my entire, that sums up my whole strategy. So
yeah, and I even felt that when we were recording a little introduction video for our Kickstarter. We just had a conversation happen to push record. We were just talking about the process by which we got to this point of publishing a book. And so whether you're doing it as a solo author or a co-author situation, find a way to do what Adam just said there. Be friendly, talk about your journey and why and how this came about. And that should help you quite a bit. All right. And listen, you can have a family member hold the camera. Don't worry about all that. Just be personable. Do your thing. Okay. Good. All right. Number 3, optimize follow-up strategy. So think launch, but think what happens next. Think this is the day. This is game time. Yeah. But also think, like, once they sign up, how can I stay in front of them in a classy way? And so we'll talk about that in a minute as well. But ultimately, you want to be able to have a classy follow-up strategy. Okay. Very important. Speaking of that, email list building, segmentation, and strategies that go along with that. If you have a list of, let's say it's 1,000 or maybe 5,000 or maybe 10,000, whatever the number is, let's say it's 1,000 people in your phone, in your computer, that are listed somewhere, maybe even written down somewhere, a bunch of people from church and other places and communities that you're involved with, business groups you're involved with. If you have lists of people in directories anywhere or in your database anywhere, put them all together. as one big list. And then it's time to build out an actual strategy. So you start looking at, okay, how do they prefer to be engaged with? Is it a quick email and then a follow-up conversation of some kind? Is it they need to see a website, then an email, some kind of quick 1, 2, 3 step process where they get familiar with what you're doing. It's communication at the end of the day. It's not manipulation. It's not fancy technology that's going to do all the work for us. No, it's leveraging modern methods of communication to let people know that what you're passionate about and ask them to kind of opt in for what you're actually doing. And so that's the goal, is to get people to say, sure, I'd like to know more about that. And if nothing else, you've touched base with them and said hi, maybe in a quick email saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. It's been a while. Super excited to connect and be a part of something together if you're interested. Those kind of communication approaches are really classy. Okay. All right. So here we go. We're getting into launch and the launch process. This is when it starts getting pretty wild, pretty exciting. Hold on, buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. So what do we need to know about testing and validation, Adam?
Well, as I said earlier, just to reiterate, when it comes to writing books, it's the importance of beta readers. I think that's probably where you get the most specific feedback. And, one of the things that you're looking for there is like, is there anywhere where you check out or get bored in this book? So that's one thing that you want to watch for. But yeah, when it comes to market research, you want to do surveys or focus groups. Let's say, for example, you're a coach and you have a backlist of, 100 clients that you've worked with in the past. That could be a great focus group or group of people to survey and poll, and just being able to go back and say, hey, it's been 6 months since we did any coaching together, and I'm writing a book, so I'd like to get your take on this, and how much would that be helpful to you? So yeah, and then just moving on with that, we have the audience building. Scale that audience based on the data that you've gotten. Looks like we lost Timothy. I'm sure we'll get him back in a minute. So yeah, these things, utilizing analytics to refine audience segments is great. Christine.
Yes.
What's up?
Hi, Adam. Thought I'd pop in.
Thanks for popping in.
So audience building, scaling based on validation, right? Look at your numbers. You have to look at your numbers and see, like you said, are they following along, or is this not something of interest? You got to know what's going on. Yeah. When it comes to marketing, right, we always need to validate everything. So pay attention, right? What's working, what's not? If you don't stop to take a look, how are you going to know? And a lot of times we get so busy in our launch phases and every step, right, that we kind of get lost and forget the big picture of, is anybody listening to us?
Right. Well, and I love that idea of iterative campaign optimization. So, certainly paying attention. One of the things that you can pay attention to is on an email list is watch what kind of messages cause higher opt-outs. And if those messages, if you're paying attention to that, you can also tweak and like say, well, let's not say that again. For example, you decide that you get off focus and your book is about coaching, and you decide to go on a political rant, and all of a sudden 50% of your email list opts out. Maybe that's not such a good idea. So, but
know your audience.
That, right? Know your audience and what they want to hear from you about, and what they are. Be clear when you're not an expert. Maybe that's not the thing to talk about. So,
good points. Good points. All right, let's talk about Jade. Adam.
Yeah.
What was this process like for you? And how did we get to this point where we're actually putting this on Kickstarter, or some people choose Indiegogo, other platforms. Some people use multiple platforms to get a book or a movie really rocking and rolling. How does this work?
Well, we spent a lot of time working on the book itself, right? A couple of years.
Mhm.
It can be done faster than that for sure.
Mhm.
I know that there are people out there saying, come to my workshop and write your book in a weekend. But we took more time with it and wanted to make sure that, the audience centric messaging was there. So this one is designed for any small business owner or, solopreneur. And it specifically talks about a character who's in real estate, but it could be something that people who are, in a home, they're in commercial painting, or they're in plumbing, or any of other kind of home services will really enjoy. And it's got a little bit of romance, and it's really a story. It's not just the 1, 2, 3, 4 how to market kind of book. So we wanted to make it fun and engaging. As far as the setting up the page copy and the assets, we definitely, as you can see there on that screenshot, the Jade book cover looks awesome. It has that sort of, obviously her name, the character's name is Jade. You got to have some green, matching up with that. And using video, of course, and then clear and compelling call to action is so important when you get on this thing. You can't be like, well, what do I do? How do I get this juicy goodness in me,
Yeah.
And so, but the cool thing is that Kickstarter makes it really easy. What you see there at the top, if you're scrolling down that page, you would see all the different ways that you can engage, and it's really, really easy. So you just got to say, hey, this is the backer reward for this. Here's how much it is. And you can click it and go. It's almost clear and compelling CTAs. If you can't do that on a Kickstarter, you got problems, because they make it really easy.
Love it. Yeah. And we can help you through that process. We have a team behind the scenes. We have bench players who are there to help, and not only Victory Vision, but we have others who kind of come in and are specialists that come in and help on different things as well. So it's really, really, really important to think through this. Go to givermarketing.com/Jade and be a part of that process and just see how that actually works. If you go to, I put the link in the actual comments and the social media feeds and everything just now. So if people go there, they can kind of experience this firsthand. Oh, okay. So they wrote a book, they set up a landing page. Now it's going to, this opt-in VIP landing page is going to allow me to be notified when the Kickstarter just goes rocking and rolling and really moving and shaking. And you'll be able to get some extra goodies for jumping in early. And so that's the kind of the call to action, if you will, or the request of your team that starts with a small core team, and then you start expanding it out to others who want to join the revolution, join the peace. And so, yeah, just being able to experience this with you, Adam, has been amazing. Jade being a real estate agent, but then touching on all these marketing principles, and then all these characters come in, and there's a dog involved, and like like buying and selling houses and all sorts of things. It's super interesting. So
I would say too, we're talking a lot of theory today, and you want to follow along with Jade, because you're gonna get all this theory comes in sharp focus when you see it in action.
Well said. Well said. Yeah. All right. So week 1, you establish a detailed timeline. Week 2, you initiate that targeted email campaigns and other pieces. Week 3, you start really zeroing in on that social media promotions. Week 4, you start monitoring engagement, pivoting, changing, shifting, and making adjustments as you need. And so these kind of basic steps that do need a little team to execute, or at least it's right there in front of you as a map for you to, or a guide for you to really make sure that your launch is successful. Okay. We don't want to miss any major pieces, and these are the major pieces. Okay. All right. So launch day, we execute a coordinated blitz across all channels. We, of course, emphasize urgency, exclusive offers, extra goodies, we call them, extra benefits. These are the things that, like, if you're a generous person like Adam Fleming is, if you're part of the Giver Marketing Network, we just start just throwing blessings on people. Like, thank you for being involved. This is a party. Let's do it together. Like, you ever go to those like events or parties or social gatherings where you're like, dang, I'm glad I came here. There's all these like, there's gift bags and there's like party like all these different things that are happening in this event. I'm like, I paid like a little bit of attention and some time and even a little bit of money to be involved, but I got so much back, connections and people and resources and extra benefits to coming to this event. That's what you want it to feel like. You want it to feel like a party where, like, man, next time I'm going to actually come to their next event and I'm going to invite a friend because this is amazing. Like, and that's what you want it to feel like, is this experience that you'll never forget. So ultimately, just bless your audience, bless your team, bless your VIP folks who jumped in early, and thank them extravagantly. And so that's what we like to do.
I love the fact that you said the word party at least twice there. Like, you got to make it a party. That's part of the be friendly, make it a party.
All right. I like it. Yeah. So good. All right. Utilizing email sequences and advertising. Look, email done in a classy way can be really good. Just gentle reminder, a fun way for them to connect with you. If you want to see a bump in your business, a bump in your impact, a bump in your influence, get in front of folks more than once. Like, just ping them every once in a while and say, hey, this is what's going on. Are you ready to jump in? Let's go. An integrated campaign approach. Of course, you combine a lot of different social media, email, and some landing pages and these kind of things, Kickstarter, and make it really fun and obvious and easy to get involved. And then, of course, you can personalize in today's world, leveraging your data that you have. Like, if a bunch of folks are from your church or something, you can kind of message to them in a very specific way. Say, I would just, say things like, hey, God put an idea in my heart a while back, and this is what I'm up to. And if somebody else is part of like a business community, hey, I got this like fire in my belly that caused me to want to start something and be a starter or a pioneer in this area. And this is the beginning of that journey. There's different language that you can emphasize. It's still true. It's just customized for your audience. And so that's where people like Christine Dean, myself, Adam Fleming can come alongside and just say, hey, let's make sure we're matching this properly. So that's good. All right. So you got momentum now. You're launched. You're going through the process here. You want to make sure that the audience that has been with you this entire time doesn't get forgotten. They need to feel and experience value along the way. This is where you'll start getting phone calls and emails and requests to go on podcasts and all sorts of things. You can't forget the people that came with you and rode with you to get to this point. So I used to have a mentor who used to say, dance with the one that brought you. And it's one of those old phrases that folks are probably going, what does that mean? But whatever, like whoever you came to the party with, hang out with them a majority of the time. Like, you leverage that relationship in a way that is beneficial for everybody in the room, and have a good time, enjoy the experience. But don't forget about the folks that you hopped in the car together, you got to the destination, and you're moving beyond that. And you want to make sure and keep that connection healthy as best as you can. So,
yeah, just to dovetail on that, I mean, a personalized or handwritten thank you note goes a long way towards saying, hey, you didn't have to come alongside my book launch campaign and email your whole, email list on my behalf, but you did. And I want to say thank you. And so part of part of leveraging the momentum is don't forget to thank people when they've helped you get the message out. It's really important. And that
All right.
leads into post-launch success pretty well, right?
That's it. This is it. So as a point of just kind of checklist, of course, you're building your community, you get your feedback mechanisms going very early, and then you have those exclusive, keyword exclusive. They need to be timely and exclusive engagement opportunities for those who jumped in early, So we won't spend too much time on this, Adam, because this is really where our team gets in at Victory Vision Publishing and part of our extended team. Shout out to Jesse and others who've been helping on some of these other projects. And they're kind of an extension of the team, if you will, right?
Yeah.
I know that there's some others that are starting to jump in and say, I want to be a part of this book launch or this next venture, or, hey, I got a movie I'm putting together. Can you help with this? And like, we're starting to get a lot of interaction that way. So that's super fun. Yeah. All right. So fulfilling rewards and perks for your supporters. We touched on this earlier, but can we dive in just for a minute and then kind of wrap up today?
Well, timely delivery is so important because we're used to, going online, clicking a button and getting the thing that we wanted in 24 or 48 hours delivered to our front door. And so you may, as my earlier example, I actually wanted to pre-sell my books so that I could afford to print them. Well, then I had to go through the process of getting them printed, shipped to me, putting my autograph in it, wrapping it up and shipping it out to the customer. And there are places on all these platforms where you can say, hey, you can expect this in 3 to 6 months, or you can expect delivery within 4 months. And you want to be super realistic about that and even pad that schedule. So that the expectations, I mean, you just basically, you don't want to damage relationships by violating expectations. So set them really carefully, give yourself extra time. You may think that you're ready to print everything and then find a typo that you really want to correct. So give yourself those extra time so that when people do receive it, they're not going, yeah, this is cool, but man, it should have been here a year ago.
Yeah, good point. So
it's not lost in, don't be lost in Indianapolis like some of my packages.
When you make a promise, try to over deliver at least a little bit. You don't need to go crazy on the over delivery. Just a little bit, just enough to say, you know what?
Yeah,
I really appreciate you, and we wanted to make sure and get this to you in a timely way. Okay. So, and you're right. Expectations are a big part of this, because if you just let people know, look, this is going to be published in XYZ, and then you deliver just a hair earlier, that's a nice feeling on everybody's part. Okay. Engagement via exclusive experiences. These exclusive experiences can be very simple. They can be a day with the author. They can be a coaching session on top of your purchase. They can be and all sorts. I mean, they could be a party that we throw in your hometown. They could be all sorts of things depending on certain criteria, right? Like if you got 100 friends together, Adam, you and I have talked about this. If folks got 100 or more people together, we'd probably go throw a party in their town. Like, you know what I mean? Like we'd find a way to get there. Yeah, so ultimately, if you can find these exclusive experiences, very simple ones or very complex ones, like you mentioned, getting written into the next book, or it could be simple as like you get 2 autographed copies instead of 1, or like it could be something very interesting to them, but it may not cost a ton of time or money on our part, right? So think through that. What's valuable to your audience? It's always through the lens of your audience. And I love the example.
That's the kind of stuff that I love to talk to individual people who are doing specific projects and do the brainstorming around that. That's a lot of fun, and come up with 50 ideas and then pick the best 7,
Yep. So as we kind of land the plane today, just remember, whether this is a business play for you or it's an impact play in a different way, make sure and keep your audience in mind. This is not primarily about you. This is about your audience, and you want to add value to them. And there is some benefit that you receive just by going through this process, just by writing a resource or a book or of some kind, or a script or a movie script or something. Like, these are all valuable to us as the creators, but we also want to keep in mind those that are benefiting from that.
I love what you're saying about respecting your audience, because that goes all the way back to doing good proofreading and getting a great cover design. That's a way to show respect for your audience too. So it flows through the entire project.
Come on. Well said. All right. So ongoing sales and platforms. There's ways to continue that momentum. We were talking about building a vehicle in your garage a while back. Well, once you've kind of push started your car or fired it up, there's a way to keep that machine humming and moving. And that's when you start bringing in other talented individuals to kind of help you stay in front of your audience. And listen, you're going to get podcast interview requests from friends and associates and others that are in your community just from like the beginning. But if you want to keep that going for business purposes, some people turn this into like a hobby that they really wanted to write about turns into like a full-on business. I've known people that they started by, here's how you make candles, and here's a story about making candles. And then all of a sudden they're selling like $500,000 worth of candles. And it's like, what the heck? How did that happen? Well, it's because they thought through this process and they developed a community around it. And then there's a loyalty and a momentum that was built. And so you want to keep that up if you can. And we have ways to do that. We can't go into it today, but there's a few on the screen that'll help you. Okay. Yeah. Hey, here's an example. Adam, can you quickly touch on this as we wrap up?
Sure. Well, Nick Folks is one of our recent authors, wrote this book called Food for Thought. And, he's really enjoying having something that he can take with him when he does speaking engagements. Fantastic speaker, gets opportunities around the country, and he's able to take both the paperback with him, and then also has the ebook and the audiobook available for people who prefer those ways of engaging reading material. And he's just loving, having that available. And that's what it's all about, is being able to give his audience something to remember him by. And, obviously a book, if you go hear a speaker and then you get their book, you're going to remember them a lot longer. And you might even, see additional speaking opportunities, for example, or additional coaching opportunities coming from the fact that somebody picked up your book. So this is, a book is just a fantastic calling card. And, Nick's one of these people who's really enjoying it. So yeah, I'll plug for Nick, go to nickfolks.com and check out his book. It's really fun.
nickfolks.com. Love it. Love it. Yeah. Go check out some of his work and the finished work from Adam and his team. And the fact that you can do ebook, audiobook, and physical book as part of your publishing process. Super interesting. Yeah. All right. So how do people get a hold of you, Adam? And what's we oftentimes will give some goodies for those who stick around toward the end of our broadcast, and they get some extra benefit from doing that. What do they get?
Yeah, we get a free audiobook. We're inviting you to just, if you want to kick these ideas around, you're thinking about doing a book, or someone who is, and you want to pick my brain a little bit, that's great. There's no charge for having this get to know me call. So you can book with me on the QR code or at the calendly.com, Adam Fleming /VVP. And after that meeting, I'll get your email address and send you a code for a free audiobook. I have 2 of them. So you get to pick between whether you like to read fiction or nonfiction about leadership, and you can pick whichever one you want, and I don't care. So just happy to give away a free copy of an audiobook. And so, so hit that QR code or go there. And if you want to email me, it's simply adam@victoryvision.org as well.
So, all right. So take a screenshot, take a picture, somehow snap this image here on the screen, and you will get to Adam's calendar. And this is a extra benefit to you. If you're able to do that and you mention this broadcast, you'll get a free audiobook from Adam. So go ahead and do that. Calendly / Adam Fleming / VVP will get you there as well. All right. Well, hey, I'm going to pull down the slides for now, and we're going to wrap up with just some questions that might have come through. I see some chatter in the comments. I see folks saying, hey, good stuff, everyone. I'm seeing things from great title, Adam Fleming. We're getting some shout outs from some of our associates out there and those who are watching. Of course, we have different resources that ended up in the comments as well. Thinking about self-publishing, Gordon says this. Can you speak to that, Adam? Like, what about self-publishing? There's somebody else saying, I'm working on a book right now. I mean, there's just all sorts of folks rocking it and just trying to figure out what to do with their publishing efforts. What's their next step? I mean, are they trying to go, whether they're trying to go big time or like self-publishing and just kind of make this a calling card? What do they do?
Yeah, self-publishing is exactly what we help with at Victory Vision. So just come on in and have a conversation with me. And I'd love to hear about your goals. You know, that's the first thing that I talk with people about is, what do you want to achieve by publishing a book? And honestly, there have been times when I wrote a book for fun, that's a novel, just for my own pleasure, and put it on Amazon without any launch. There have been other times when we worked really hard to get it in front of a lot of people. And there's no one right way to do this. So that's what I love to help people with, is helping figure out, you know, how you want to do it. And not just Kickstarter is not the solution for everyone, for example. There's lots of other ways to do it too. So for those of you who are listening in, and that's exactly why I'm inviting you guys to come have a conversation with me, because we help people self-publish all the time. That's what we're all about.
Good. I love it. And I know the experience I've had with you has been nothing but great. And there's some folks where it takes they take their time and they build their brand around the book, and their book bolsters their business and all these kind of things. And that's kind of the situation I was in when I first contacted you. But then there's others that are like, look, just do it all for me. Here's the concept. Here's the book. Here's the finished work. I just need it edited and published in the next, 3 months. Like, can we do this? And so there's everything from, this slow pace at your own pace. Maybe you're super busy and you're trying to fit this into other schedules. Or you're like, nope, I want to go all in. We're going to get this done by the end of the summer, or by the end of the spring, or by the end of the fall, or whatever it is. Can you help me do this? Can you speak to that? Like how people think through that?
Sure. Well, I think that's, there's everything from kind of like DIY, little bit of hand holding, taking care of your cover design and letting you do most of it, giving you a few pointers along the way, to, like you said, all in. We certainly have people that take, 18 months to finish writing their book. And, come back around and say, I decided to add another chapter. We want to have more proofreading on this chapter. And so we're very flexible with how we help people based on, their timelines, their budgets, and how aggressive they want to be with marketing and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
And at the same time, if I'm not mistaken, somebody can come to you and say, hey, I need somebody to hold me accountable to get this done by the end of the year. Can you do that for me? And you arrange an engagement that makes sense. Like, hey, we need cover by this date. We need, dates, details, deadlines, and make that happen for them. That can bring a lot of comfort to somebody that's maybe always has something that comes in the way of publishing their book. Like there's always something that kind of like gets in the way. And so you hold them to a rhythm or an expectation of when this needs to happen. And even if it's delayed a little bit, at least it's getting done. So that's important.
Thanks for reminding me of that, Timothy. We do have a writers group that meets monthly on the last Friday of every month. And we've got, half a dozen people there who are coming just to talk about the writing process. Because, Here's the biggest secret that we didn't talk about at all. One of the hardest things is actually finishing the manuscript. So we have that, availability of just like getting on with a group of like-minded people and being accountable to keep writing. And you never get to the marketing phase if you don't finish the book. So.
All right. So ladies and gentlemen, look up Adam Fleming on one of the social feeds or book an appointment with him through this link. And you can ask him all about that writing group and other questions you may have about your work. All right. Well, God bless you guys. Christine, you have some notes for us having to do with upcoming events around the Giver Marketing Network and ways they can jump in and get to know more.
Absolutely. Well, we're a friendly group. We like to help. That Giver Marketing pretty much tells you everything you need to know about our attitude. So come hang out with us on Wednesdays. We have our networking for marketers, PR, media. If you're in that kind of space, don't be a lonelypreneur. Come hang out with us, make friends. We're really friendly. We like you.
And that's Wednesdays at what time
That's Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Pacific or 11 Eastern. So if you go to givermarketing.com/networking, you can register once, save the link onto your calendar, and then just come hang out with us. This is our totally free. It's no cost at all. It's a give back. We just want to help unite the marketing community.
All right, I'm going to try to see if we can get that into our social feeds here, and it'll come up on the screen here now as well. But God bless you guys. Have a great week, and we're excited to see you at one of these touch points, whether it's an author's kind of workshop or if it's a networking event with Giver Marketing Network. We can always point you in the right direction. Set up that time with Adam, and we look forward to connecting with you soon. Talk to you soon.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Adam. Great job today.